Hello everyone, I am Dr. Garima Srivastava. I am from Lal Bahadur Shastri College, Lucknow. I am going to take up the topic of international marketing. So, while coming down to marketing orientation, what does marketing orientation means? Orientation actually means different attitudes towards companies' involvement in international marketing process, and that is called as international marketing orientation. So, in the last lecture we have already talked about what kind of markets do we deal with. Whenever a country goes for exports, the people from the country goes for exporting of their product or services across the international border, they need to check into the orientation of that particular market where they are going to sell their product or services in the different international countries. So, for that purpose they need to check out what kind of attitudes they need to adapt according to the people or the customers of that country. So, of course, attitude of a company is important. Now, here we are talking about the different attitude of company. That means, the approach the company will be going to take up whenever it is going to launch its product or services in the international market. Now, this attitude will be related to the various features or the particulars of the product it is dealing with. Sometimes it will be very flexible, it may change its product according to the demands of the consumer, but sometimes it may be rigid with its products and it will not be willing to change the properties of the product at all according to the changes of the demands of the market. So, accordingly we need to understand what is the marketing orientation of that particular product. So, for this purpose there are 4 approaches to study market orientation. This approach was given by Douglas, Wind and Perlmutter. This approach is also called as EPRG approach. Now, EPRG, the full form is ethnocentric, polycentric, regiocentric and geocentric. Now, when we talk about all these kind of 4 approaches, it is somewhat related to the types of customers, the region they belong to, the geographical setup of that particular country and the region of that particular country. So, accordingly we need to set up our mind, the companies need to set up their mind, their attitude to launch their product. So, this framework addresses the way strategic decisions are made and how the relations between headquarters and its subsidiaries are shared. Now, we are talking about headquarters and its subsidiaries. Now, headquarter means the host country, home country where the basic manufacturing process is being set up for the product. Now, that country, that setup is called as headquarter, from where you are going to manufacture the product and you are going to export the product. Subsidiaries are the sub offices or sub headquarters or sub operational units in which are situated in different international countries where you are going to sell your product. Now, what kind of relation will these headquarters and its subsidiaries be sharing will be discussed under this approach. So, Perlmutter EPRG framework consists of 4 stages in the international operations revolution. These stages are: the very first, EPRG, E states for ethnocentric orientation. The practices and policies of the headquarter and of operating company in the home country become the default standard to which all subsidiaries need to comply. Now, this is a very basic kind of orientation and you can say a very old kind of orientation where the company does not change its policies, does not change its practices and is very much rigid in changing its product in the different international market. So, whatever are the policies or practices being practiced in the home country in the headquarter, same kind of practices and policies are also practiced in the subsidiary companies. Now, that means it follows a strict line of action, whatever is being taken in terms of strategic decision, the company takes up the practices and policies which whatever the headquarter follows. Such companies do not adapt their product, that means they are not ready to adapt their product, they are not ready to change their product according to the needs and wants of the countries where they operate. That means the needs and wants of the countries are secondary at this moment and the company keeps its practices and policies at a topmost or primary level. there is no change in the product specification, price and promotion. That means whatever product specification are being followed in the home country, pricing of the product or promotional measures that are being taken in the home country, the same kind of process is taken up in the host country also. That means promotion measures between native markets and the overseas market. You do not make any kind of differentiation between the home market or your international market. Now, this is also not good for a company. You need to change the change something or the other, some specifications or the other when you move into the international market. Why? Because we have already talked about different external environmental factors which influence the market or which influence the product when it moves into the international market. So, exercises, activities and policies of the functioning of the company in the native country becomes the default standard to which the subsidiaries need to abide. That means, whatever practices are being followed in the home country, the headquarters, the same kind of procedures or rules are being followed by the subsidiary countries, companies. So, exercises, activities, it will include everything, it will include rules, regulations, anything regarding specification of the product, it will include everything, and nothing will change right from the domestic market in the home country to the domestic market in the international country. So, the benefit of this kind of mindset, there is certainly some benefit, that is why company is taking up the ethnocentric approach. Why? Because it overcomes the shortage of qualified managers in anchoring nations by migrating them from the home country. Now, if you follow the same standards of practices and rules as you are following in the home country, there is no need to hire new managers in the host country or the international country. The same managers can go on deployment to the host country and they can follow the same procedures for setting up the product. That means, no new, if nothing new is being introduced, there is nothing new to the people who are already working in the management. So, they can only be transferred to the host country. Now, this develops an affiliation, corporate culture and aids transfer core competencies more easily. That means, whatever people who are specialized in that particular area, that management, you can transfer them from your home country to the host country. In such a way, we are also transferring the core competencies which are being transferred from the home country into the host country, and of course, these people are very much experienced. So, for that purpose, they can share their experience in the international market also. But this approach has certain drawback also. So, the major drawback of this mindset is that it results in culture short-sightedness and does not promote the best and the brightest in a firm. That means, you are not going to adapt to the culture of that particular country. So, you are looking into a very short-sightedness while you are talking about culture of that country. But when we talk about marketing means we are when we are exchanging product and services, we are also exchanging the culture of the two country. But while we are going on the ethnocentric approach, the culture is being neglected to a very large extent. So, for that purpose, sometimes neglecting this culture form, we will be at a drawback when we are moving into the international market for export of our product or services. So, here we have the ethnocentric framework. Ethnocentric, it says do not adapt to the product, their product at the needs and the wants of the other countries where they have operations. That means, they do not change their product whenever they move in the international borders. Similarly, we have regiocentric, geocentric, polycentric also. So, talking about the next one, that is the regiocentric. Now, as the name suggests, it means region. Now, that means the country looks after the regions which are almost similar to the region of the home country to export their product into that particular country. Why do they do so? Because they do not want to change their product, and of course in the same kind of region the needs and demands must be almost the same as they are in the domestic market. So, you will not need to change any kind of specification, you will not need to take up any kind of other marketing strategy to make the people aware in that particular new market. So, that is why the people go for regiocentric if they do not take up the ethnocentric approach. So, in this approach a company finds economic, cultural and political similarities. Now, we are talking about three kinds of external environment, that means economic means monetary well-being of that country, how far that country is well in terms of its economy. So, the companies will find an economy which is almost equivalent to the home country. Similarly, the culture is almost same, or political the prevalence of political parties or their rules and regulations are almost same kind of laws are being implemented in that particular country also. So, and among regions, in order to satisfy the similar needs of potential consumers. For example, countries like Pakistan, India and Bangladesh are very similar. So, they possess a strong regional identity. So, we can sell products in these three countries without any kind of change in the product specification. So, when we go for change in the product specification, of course, it needs cost, it will include cost of the company. So, while talking about regiocentric, we will be saving on much of the cost of the country. Third point, now geocentric. Geocentric means geographical area. Geocentric approach encourages global marketing. This does not equate superiority with nationality. That means here the national different people from different nationals are being given importance. Now, till now we were talking about our own practices, our own policies as a home country company. Now, when we talk about geocentric orientation, the company goes for nationality of other people also. Irrespective of the nationality, the company tries to seek the best men and problems are solved globally within the legal and political limits. That means, till now we were trying to relocate our own resources, the best manpower to the particular international border, so as to sell our product in that international border. But in geocentric approach, we try to find best men in that particular international market only to export our product or to sell our product. Why do we do so? Because the people belonging to the same international market will be aware of that market very well as compared to the people who will be coming from the home country to look into the market, because they will need to search the market, they will need to survey the market again to launch the product in that international market. Now, this time can be saved by hiring the people from the same international market, thus ensuring efficient use of human resources by building strong culture and informal management channels. Now, of course, when we will be introducing the people from the outside or people from international country, resources from the international country, you will be also introducing the culture of that international country into your company. So, informally you will be introducing that culture and giving boost to the economy of that particular country, and also giving boost to the business relationships with that particular country, because you are also offering a kind of opportunity of employment to those people who are in that host country. So, the main disadvantage are that national immigration policies may put limits to its implementation. Now, of course, the disadvantage is that we are trying to take up the people from the same international country, or people from different nationals, we are taking up such people. So, it will be easy to take up the people from the same international company, but if suppose I am trying to take up people, I am trying to hire people from some other third nation. So, it will be difficult, because immigration policies may be a challenge for the company to immigrate that person from that third country into the host country. country. Thus, it tries to balance both global integration and local responsiveness. Now, of course, for this purpose you need to go for polycentric. That means the fourth kind of approach, where you will be practicing much more liberal kind of rules and exercises into the company, so as to give boost to the business relations with that international company, and also hiring the people from that international market. Lastly, polycentric approach. Now, polycentric means in this approach a company gives equal importance to every country's domestic market. Now, that means till now we were talking about the people, the resources, the company, its processes, its products, and how far it is going to change or not change the product for the international market. But polycentric approach is some kind of you can say a liberal approach, which gives equal importance to the country's domestic market where we are going to export the product. This is very important, because we are going to export the product, no doubt the product is ours, but we are going to give it to people of some other country. So, we need to consider the culture, we need to consider the political factors, political pressures of that particular international country, so as to launch our product in that international market. Every participating country is treated solely and individually. Strategies are carried out. So, the participating countries are treated solely, that means each of the subsidiary is taken up as a separate company, and different strategies for different companies, different countries are taken up, because different countries are available with different kind of external environment with controllable and uncontrollable factors which influences the business. So, this approach is especially suitable for countries with certain financial, political and cultural constraints. So, wherever the cultural, political and financial constraints are there, we need to take a polycentric type of orientation. So, at last we can say that why do we take up this EPRG framework? Now, this is important because whenever we are dealing with different countries in the international market, now we need to check into what kind of practices, what kind of rules, regulations, laws are being practiced in that particular country, and accordingly we need to take up the kind of approach, we need to take up the attitude as a company in the home country, so as to export a product in these international market. So, ethnocentric means you are going to move your product without any change in the practices or policies as are being practiced in the home country, same will be practiced in the host country also in the subsidiaries. Similarly, if we go for geocentric, the main idea is to target the global customers who have similar taste. That means we will find people who have similar kind of taste. So, to borrow from every country what is best, that means we will take up what is best from every country and we will give what is best suitable for our country. Similarly, when we go for regiocentric approach, we see into economic, culture or political similarities of that country, and then we are going to export our product. Lastly, equal importance to every country's domestic market is given in the polycentric kind of approach. So, now while we are talking about different approaches of the market, we are also segmenting the market in the same process. Now, why do we go for segmentation after orientation? Now, of course, when we have already set up our attitude, we have already made up our mind how we are going to move, how we are going to strategically decide about the product specification in that international market. We also need to understand what kind of segment of the market we are going to cater. So, segmentation is specifically means involves separating a wide target market into subsets of customers, enterprises or nations who have or are perceived to have common requirements, choices and priorities, and then design and executing approaches to target them. Now, of course, segmentation is done so as to look into that what is our specific market, or who is our specific customer who is going to take up our product. Now, these customers will be having a common requirement, they may be having a similar kind of requirement, they may be having similar kind of choices, preferences, tastes for the product. Like for example, if we say toothpaste. Now toothpaste, if we go for a simple white paste with sweet flavor toothpaste, it can be catered to people of all the segments, all the age groups, and if we say it, if we are going to launch it for specifically kids, so we will be taking up kids in that particular segment. So of course, according to our product specification, we need to segment our market also, because who are those specific customers who will be coming to buy our product. Now without this, we will not be able to cater our product easily. Now market segmentation approaches are basically used to identify the target clients and provide assistance data for market planning and components like positioning to get certain market plan objectives. Now segmentation is actually done so as to make a proper marketing plan, how we are going to launch our product, who will be our target customers, what will be certain discounts or certain strategies that will be taken up by the company while launching the product. Then of course, what will be our positioning of the product. All these will be done according to the segmentation of the market. So very first step is the market segmentation. Business may discover product differentiation approaches or an undifferentiated approach, including specific goods or product lines, relying on the precise demand and attributes of the target segment. Now of course, why we do this segmentation? We can either differentiate our product, or we go without differentiating our product. Now differentiating of course means we are going to change some of the specifications of the product according to the taste and preferences of our target market. Now if it is feasible, we will do so. Otherwise, as a company, if it is not feasible for the company, it will go with an undifferentiated approach. That means it will not change the product at all according to the changes in the demands and the needs of the product target customers in the international market. Now talking about the segmentation, we have certain kind of segmentation in the market. The very first one is the geographical segmentation. Now geographical segmentation, when we talk about geographical, that means division of geography, division by geography or geographical criteria. It includes nations, states, regions, countries, cities, neighborhoods and postal codes. Now that is a very important point. So wherever we are going to cater our product, we need to check into the environmental factor, we need to check into the geographical infrastructure of that particular area where we are going to cater. Like for example, if we are dealing in raincoats, so we need to sell our raincoats in those areas where the rains are heavy. So of course, wherever the rains are lesser, we will not be able to sell the raincoat. For example, in rainy season, dealers can easily sell raincoats, umbrella and gumboots. In winter season, one can sell warm clothing. That means the seller in the same region may keep the raincoats, gumboots and umbrellas and as well as warm clothing. Now according to the season, according to the geographical segmentation, he will start selling the product, because the needs will change according to the geographical season of the particular area. A small business product store focuses on customers from the local neighborhood, while large departmental store focuses its market towards different localities in the large cities or region. Now of course, when we talk about geographical segmentation, here we also should study small businesses and large businesses. Now whenever we talk about small businesses, they will aim, when we talk in regard to geographical segmentation, small business will always focus on the people of the nearby locality only, because it will see that how far the people are going to approach it. So of course, it will keep those products which are in requirement for that particular locality, people of that particular locality. Similarly, if we go for large departmental store, it is able to keep a large variety of products. Why? Because it is having a large amount of capital also, and its aim would be to focus on large cities and areas. Now coming down to the second one, this is demographic segmentation. Now talking about demographic segmentation, it means variables like age, gender, occupation and education levels. That means and many other factors are considered under demographics, like your occupation, like income level, household, then type of families, all this will be included in the demographic segmentation. Now of course, why do we go for demographic segmentation? Because products may be needed by different age group people, like I have told the example of toothpaste. Now we can also take up an example of suppose a kind of mobile phone. So now this mobile phone may be needed by each and every member of a household. Now we need to check into the requirement of each and every person in the household. That is why then only we will be able to expand our customer base. Now of course, if we are going in to give a technology that will only support internet, now in that case only age will matter. Now we need to check into the all the other matters also. An alternative to this strategy is a firmographic or character based segmentation. Now firmographic or character based segmentation means when we divide the market according to the size of the revenue the firm is able to generate. Now the third one is behavioral segmentation. Now when we divide a market on the basis of the knowledge and attitudes, uses and responses of the people who are going to consume our product, who are going to use our product, or the behavior of the people towards the product. So whenever we go for giving a product into the any of the community, we need to check into the behavioral aspect of the people, how far they are able to, how far they are going to support your product, how far they are going to buy your product in terms of technology or in terms of its qualities or quantity. Then coming down to the second one, fourth one, psychographic segmentation. Now psychographic means it calls for the division of market into segmentation based upon different personality traits, attitudes, interests, lifestyles of the consumers and psychographic uses of people's lifestyle, their activities, interests as well as opinions to define a market segmentation. Now behavior and psychographic are somewhat the same, but there is always a thin line between behavioral segmentation and psychographic segmentation. Now behavioral segmentation consists of your knowledge, attitudes and how far that particular product is useful to a segment. The people go with this logical reasoning. Psychographic segmentation may sometime go with illogical reasoning, or they may grow with their demands, their likings, their dislikes according to their personality traits, values and attitudes also. So mass media has a dominating impact and effect on the psychographic segmentation. To the product promoted through mass media can high engagement items or an item of high end luxury, thus influences purchase decisions. So of course, mass media will be most helpful in catering the product to the psychographic segmentation. So of course, if you are going to sell luxury homes, you need to see the people who find whose main motive to buy a particular home is luxury, then only you will be able to sell the product in that particular segment. Now the last segment is the occasional segmentation. Now as the name suggests, it is the occasion segment. That means when the people start buying according to the occasion, like for example recently you are seeing Diwali is coming, a lot of sale, a lot of discounts are there in the market. So there are always people who are trying to grab these opportunities. Such kind of segmentation is the occasional segmentation. So we always keep a lot of product for this kind of segmentation when people go for mass buying. So occasional segmentation is dividing the market into segmentation on the basis of different occasions when the buyers plan to buy the product or actually buy the product and use the product. Like for example, if we talk about fans and air conditioners, so people generally go for buying it in the summer seasons, but if we want to say if we want to increase the sale of the same product in the winter season also, we can go for some kind of special discounts, we can go for some kind of special sale when we want to increase the sale in the winter season also. So in this season also people will be buying it for the use in the next season. So such kind of products or such kind of segmentation people are called as occasional segmentation. So, we have market segmentation criteria, which is based on following 4 kinds of criteria: geographical criteria, demographic criteria, behavioral criteria and psychographic criteria. So, overall we can say when we talk about international marketing, we need to check into the attitudes of the people, attitude of the company towards the people. That means, we need to check into the orientation of the company, how is it going to launch the product, and of course, plus with this, in addition to this, we need to check into the type of people or type of segmentation we are going to do in the international market. Then only our marketing plan will be successful in the international market. Thank you.